Hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're super happy to have Pale Blue back again to Family Office Insights. We're broadcasting live from Park City, Utah and Salt Lake City. We have an hour together today. We have a lot of people joining, so please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A or the chat box, and we'll get to as many as possible. A lot of progress and really interesting updates, and you'll see soon with the team here, and we'll get into that shortly. After you've heard the presentation today, if there's anybody that you know that might be keen on learning more about being a potential investor in the company, you're certainly welcome, and we'll make sure you can contact Tom and Jeff directly post-webinar, and we're also going to be recording this and posting it on the Family Office Insights YouTube channel, and you can share it with others if you like, as long as that's okay with the team here. And so I've had the benefit of getting the update, but I think you're going to welcome it. There's lots of interesting things happening. And so, like I said, if you have any questions, you can post them to the Q&A or the chat box. So with that, Tom, Jeff, welcome back. Thank you for doing this again. I think if we could just quickly, for the benefit of people that weren't on the last call, just a quick background on Tom and how this came about. And of course, Jeff, you're welcome to do that as well. Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Arthur. Appreciate it. Yeah, quick background on me. Did my undergrad in physics up in Middlebury, Vermont. Later studied material science in a mechanical engineering group down at University of Rochester. Ended up overseas studying Chinese and working in manufacturing for over a decade. Worked for some cool brands, Burton Snowboards being one. Skullcandy headphones, helped them build out the team and offices over there from 1 person to 55, and helped them produce about 100,000 headphones a day. Came back to Park City, where I am now with Skullcandy, ran the whole product organization from advanced concepts through manufacturing. Later was the head of operations at a company called Owlet, who makes a pulse oximeter sock for babies, an IoT device, and they're out of Salt Lake. And then we started Pale Blue. Got to work exceptionally in 2018 and really launched with our Kickstarter in 2019, and I've been at it ever since.
Yeah, and for the benefit of the group, Tom and I met at a little shindig we had at our place here in Park City through some friends at Mercury, and then we became friendly, and here we are. So I'm glad to do this again, and we've caught some fish together too, which is super fun. Yeah,
Jeff's an important part of the team. He's been with us for many years. So Jeff, maybe if you'd
sure,
quick intro.
Hi everybody, thanks for the opportunity. My name is Jeff Guilford. I work with Tom as the company's CFO. I recently came to Utah. My wife and I relocated from Southern California. I had a business there for 20 years, working with supporting fractional capacity CFO to a portfolio of early stage pre-venture, venture-backed tech and biotech companies. And upon moving here, I wanted to continue to do that work. It's passion and I love it, and met with Tom, and we've been working together since mid 2020.
Yeah, so Tom, when did all this start?
We did our Kickstarter in 2019, but we didn't go into that Kickstarter unprepared. We were ready for production, had already done all the early development, verification, validation, all that. So been good 5+ years now.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's get into it.
All right, I'll jump in the deck, but Arthur, interrupt me with questions and help me highlight anything you think we should hit upon here. So this gives you a little glimpse of how the brand gets expressed in the space. So going to the problem here, I'm sure everybody on the webinar knows as clearly as we all do that the single-use battery is an integral part of our lives, super long lasting in terms of the market dominance, and quite ubiquitous. And so in the US alone, we're throwing away 10,000 pounds every day. Every hour. It's about 20, say what was the number? 860,000 tons per year. It's about a 5-gallon bucket every 15 seconds. We all have this problem in our homes: a bucket, bag, bin, box, something in the garage where we have all these alkaline batteries we're hoping to recycle. The bad news is the vast majority of those will never be recycled. They go to landfills and incinerators for the most part, unless somebody subsidizes them. So it's a large problem, dominated by a single-use product, which is a very large market to the tune of $17 billion a year globally, and one that's ripe for disruption. So we are on generation 3 of our products. We've made improvements to our products and on about an annual cadence. We've done about 10 million in revenue, 3.5 million batteries out there. And so a lot of traction. Built a business early on in D2C. Website, Amazon are a big channel for us, but most batteries are sold. And so spending a lot of effort over the last year and a half pushing out into retail, and are currently in about 2,500 doors and aiming for 3,000 this year, 6,000 next year, and finding great success. One of the benefits of having a very intuitive product in a super ubiquitous market is that it takes very little education for people to understand the value proposition. It's seemingly very well understood by everybody that we talk to. So we've had great success all along the way. We've raised under a convertible note to fund the business, getting close to $4 million in capital raised under the convertible note. Currently on the verge of closing the current convertible note at a 14 million valuation, and looking to maybe extend this round to another 500,000 to $1 million on this note, with our eyes on an equity round in early 2025. And so that would be our first equity raise, and eyeing bell caps in the range of $25 to $30 million on that round next year. So a few patents granted and more pending. The team is built on innovating and creating ever better products, and so see a lot of opportunity there, especially to in part to a government contract that we have that's funding a lot of R&D and creating a lot of new tech and features and things. So I'll get into that a little bit later, but one mention here on the European market. In 2027, there's a legislation to it's called Right to Repair, that will help push consumer electronics companies to make sure their batteries are removable or replaceable, and that the electronics products are repairable by the consumer and market. So rather than having to send my $150 Apple Watch to Apple and have a battery change for $100, the concept is consumer electronics should be repairable once you own them. That will be followed up very likely by a ban on batteries coming in 2030. That would be the biggest tailwind, and that's why we've established our joint venture in Europe. So moving on, the right screen here.
Did it freeze up?
Yeah,
You might want to close it and open it. Okay.
yeah, that moved. Let me see. One moment. Try the button. There we go.
Well, there we go.
So what we've done here, I'll show you on screen. It's a little bit easier to understand. So this is our AA batteries charging on a power bank. They're USB chargeable. You can see that when they're charging, they'll flash green, and when they're done charging, they will go solid green. Like all modern consumer electronics products, they should be super intuitive, easy to use, fast charging, and be able to use over and over and over again. So the key here is, if you were to do what we did and try to imagine what's the best battery you could create, you would start with the best chemistry available. And the guys who created lithium-ion battery received the Nobel Prize in 2019. We're living in the lithium-ion age for a good reason. The super high-performing, very usable chemistry. And thankfully, we're benefiting from billions of dollars by large companies to be able to bring that to market. But then if you wanted to use lithium ion in normal household sizes, AA, AAA, 9-volt CSDs, if you wanted to use that chemistry in those sizes, you would have to attend to the fact that lithium ion is a 3.7 volt chemistry in the nominal voltage of alkaline batteries is about 1.5. And so what we have to do is put technology on each battery, and the tech on each battery called a battery management system that enables the USB-C charging, but it also manages the performance, reliability, and safety of the product. And so if you look at our AA here, that top couple millimeters is where the BMS sits, and the rest of that is a lithium ion cell. So what that does is allows for a battery that's very easy to use. Plug it in like you do all your other electronics. You can charge it 1,000 times. It charges fast. Can save you lots and lots of batteries, lots and lots of battery packaging, lots and lots of cash, and it runs to the store when you need a battery. And so that the approach here is make a smarter battery, a better battery, but one that's super easy to understand and use, and that usability and in the visually intuitive nature of the product makes it easy to market because it understands what they're looking at without having to describe all of these details.
And for
Our marketing.
And for the record, it lasts for the charge period about as long as a regular battery.
Yeah, when power matters, we win because our battery is actually a stable voltage, where an alkaline battery gets weaker and weaker and weaker as you use it. In certain use cases, say a TV remote, they will last longer because the TV remote may work when the alkaline battery is down to even 1.1 volts, where our battery is going to run at that high power. So in a door lock, we're going to win. In a TV remote, they're going to win. But I would argue that if your TV remote lasted 9 months with our battery and 10, 11, 12 months with alkaline, our AAA charges in an hour. And so the idea that that's not losing to me. It's
not meaningful. Yeah.
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 Yep. So as I mentioned, we've got a huge kind of global marketplace. Essentially, everybody is a potential customer for Pale Blue because everybody is an alkaline battery consumer. And the global market's about 4 times as large as the domestic market. We've moved out into about 20 countries with distributors in that joint venture, and have been doubling the business every year since we've started, bar one. I'll mention that one because it's worth explaining. That we went out for a fundraise the day before Silicon Valley Bank failed, and so we had a capital constraint 2023. But as soon as we got back on the fundraising, the business on track to double again this year. So up and to the right. So we're going far beyond just putting USB charging ports onto a really great battery. There's a lot of details that goes into just doing that. But as I mentioned, we're on generation 3, working on Gen 4 and Gen 5 products, and have our eyes on maintaining that kind of premium position in the space, but also making sure that we can bring batteries to everybody. The good news is some of our batteries are already essentially a 2-use ROI for consumers. Some are 3, 4, and 5 uses, depends. So you get your money back really quick, but if you can use them 1,000 times, you're saving money for 995 more charges, which adds up, especially for anyone who's an active Xbox user or a professional, or we get a lot of musicians and photographers and anyone that's in audio production, lots of people that the batteries every day, and they'll get to 1,000 charges in a matter of a couple of years. So the ROI is definitely there for consumers, and once you've used them, it really is hard to go back to single-use batteries. You kind of understand there's a better way. So we believe that there's also a great LTV opportunity with this business over time. And Arthur, we should dig into at some point in this conversation to like what's better about our batteries than the old rechargeables. But we could probably circle back.
Yeah. Well, can I just jump in, and maybe this can
Sure.
lead to that as well? What do the incumbents think about this, and why haven't they done it? And are you a threat to them? Does that come into play here?
Yeah, so let's start with the alkaline businesses. Historical CAGR on single-use batteries has been 9% or so. It's a very large and growing market. So we're very far from eating their lunch, and they're very optimized on the supply chain and distribution side. So I don't see them to a small startup like us for many years ahead. If we can start taking a chunk out of that 9% CAGR and slow their growth down, perhaps. But I don't think they're going to enter the space. And I've heard stories from the side of some of those companies where people were reprimanded for doing a good job with the rechargeable batteries that were introduced.
Uh-huh.
nickel metal hydride chemistry 25 years ago. So they're not interested. If you go into retailers, you'll see a very large display of batteries, and maybe they're giving one peg to rechargeables. The retailers aren't generally historically incentivized to try to push that either. And so I'm not really concerned about the alkaline batteries paying much attention to us yet. The incumbents from a rechargeable space, everything's been built on nickel metal hydride for the most part, which is a low voltage, long charging time kind of chemistry that requires an AC outlet and a custom kind of charger. So not a very usable product, and unfortunately, maybe fortunately for us, but unfortunately, an unreliable chemistry. And so it didn't really make a dent in things. Probably 10% of the market is in those nickel metal hydride rechargeables. It takes a certain dedication to fully discharging and fully charging and having an overnight charge time to put those to work in your life. It's not the convenience that we come to expect in kind of modern electronics, where you can charge anywhere, charge fast, and you don't need custom chargers, right? But the real crux there is the reliability of them. They tend to work okay for a few charges, but then pretty quickly you're starting with a low voltage battery anyways, but then you're starting to lose capacity, and some of the battery doesn't last very long. It's not very powerful. You charge it up, and now you've shrunk the capacity of the battery thanks to an attribute called memory. And nickel metal hydride is particularly bad on the memory front. And so we stack up from a chemistry perspective far better. But the beauty of putting the electronics on the battery, we can manage that very carefully to maintain the reliability of our batteries. And so if you think back to our cell phones 15 years ago and how the batteries might last a couple of years, and if you didn't fully discharge and fully charge them, and they were trying to train consumer behaviors, it's gotten a lot better. The chemistries have gotten better, but also the management of the battery by the electronics on board has made lithium ion even more reliable now. And so we just win on all fronts there.
And having the USB port on the battery is clever, right? Because you don't have to have the little package or the little cartridge where you put the battery in the AC outlet, like you say, and charge it up. This thing, it's the USB charging thing is ubiquitous. It's like everybody has this thing, right? Everywhere, right?
But yeah, so our cable is just a dumb cable. It's a nice cable, but in a time of need, you could use any cable. But the great thing about it is, as you said, it's like anywhere you happen to be, you can charge it up. The other thing that it's worth mentioning about our batteries is if you need a battery, you generally need it right now or very soon. So that charging time is super important. You want to be able to charge wherever you are. You don't want to have to go find that custom charger. But the other great thing is that if you charge our battery for even 5 or 10 minutes, you have a full power battery. It's not fully charged yet, but it's full power because we manage and regulate our output, our voltage to 1.5 volts to that last 1% where it finally dips. And so you always have access to a full power battery, and you can charge your batteries in your car on the way to the trailhead or the job site. You can charge them from a solar charger, from a power bank, plug them into your computer and charge them. It just means that you're never without a battery, which means you're not going to need to run to the store and buy single use. And alkalines have gotten ever more expensive, which to an average consumer, taking a larger chunk of their disposable income these days.
Yeah, they just seem to be getting more expensive, and unless you're buying the 25 pack, the per battery cost is outrageous, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's gotten much worse. It makes us look much better. That was in fact the purpose of our Kickstarter in the early days, was check to make sure that we knew what the P&L needed to look like from a gross margin perspective, and to run a branded consumer products business, and we needed to achieve certain price to be able to do that. And so the earliest days was making sure we weren't crazy for selling a $30 pack of AA's. It turns out not, but we're much less crazy now that the alkaline batteries keep getting more expensive.
Yeah.
Let's see, maybe this open up some conversations on the product line. So AA and AAA drive the business. That's 85% of our business is in those batteries, but we do 4 packs. We also do 8 packs and 12 packs, and we do bundles and kits. So giving the consumer a lot of different opportunities to pick what's right for them. One of the next hurdle for our business, after checking that we could sell at prices that made the business make sense, was especially in D2C, you have certain unit economics that need to make sense for you to market in D2C. And so average order value on the website was our first biggest hurdle that we had to overcome. And by having these kits and bundles and stuff, we immediately found that our AOV is, $75, $76 on the website, which is very unusual for a battery company. And most battery companies have no sales on their own website. And so to have consumers come to a new brand, a new product, be spending an AOV of over $75, unique and unusual, but also kind of proved out the business from a digital marketing perspective. Be able to create new customers is not as cheap as it was before iOS 14. If try on that one, but it is certainly scalable, and that high AOV is the key unlock, especially on our website sales.
Is that opportunity still, is it still proving out to be the case, or are you still most of it somewhere else?
No, it is for sure, and we've done other things to continue to bolster that and grow that. I'll show you the next page. You'll see some solar chargers that we did launched last year, and so when we're also bundling batteries with our solar chargers now, and these are $80 and $150 price points, and so those bundles sell super well. We haven't been able to keep our solar chargers in stock, so that's key. When we're in stock on those things, it really helps drive the business, and that unit economics of D2C is important. But I should mention that 85% of batteries are sold in retail, and a huge growth opportunity for us is pushing out into retail. And that's some of you'll see some artist collabs that we've done there. Done a lot to make ourselves unique and lovable as a brand, which is also unusual in the battery space. And you'll see some of our retail merch solutions there as well.
Yeah, I'll be no surprise to the group that I have some of these and use them, and everything Tom's saying is true. Right?
They make the stuff. Yeah, so the retail opportunity is large for us. We spent a couple of years just designing our packaging solution, which is really important when you go to retail. Sure that the value proposition of the product, features and attributes are easily understood at retail, because there's generally not so many assisted sales retail these days. And so we spent a lot of time on that, but really have been pushing out into retail for not much more than about a year and a half. We're up to 2,500 doors. We've landed great retailers: Ace Hardware, True Value, REI, a couple more in the hardware space. Also have a distributor that does college bookstores. They distribute to 4,500 college bookstores. We have a distributor in the hobby shop store space. We have a new partner that's coming, hopefully launching in January, that's in the music space. And getting more distribution faster in retail is very much priority for us, and figuring out how to continue to optimize sell through, of course. Partnerships is a huge opportunity. I'll take a moment. Oh, that should say 2,500 doors there. Partnerships, I mentioned one in music here. Preview, Ernie Ball is the rock and roll guitar string, and 3 generations of music accessories business. And so we're developing better batteries for musicians that existed before. No one a battery for musicians and power space for musicians has been abandoned by music industry. There's never been an opportunity. So super excited about that, because it's a very cool space and very cool brand, and it's super important. I'll give you an example. They talking about one of their famous artists who walks on stage for a concert and has 8 guitars. And every time he does, those 8 guitars get brand new single-use batteries, and after each show, those 8 batteries go in the trash. It's like every rehearsal, every performance, musicians are throwing away batteries every time, and every musician I've ever talked to is not happy with that. I'm very excited about what we're working on. So we're not only just using, not just using our existing batteries for that, we're actually engineering better technology for that space specifically, which is a very cool and deep story that to go tell.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's because of the consistent level of the output, right?
Yep. Yeah. So a musician, so what they do now it's kind of silly but sad but necessary, is it'll take an alkaline battery with a decaying voltage. An alkaline battery decays a bit and it kind of plateaus and then decays again. They'll pre-drain the battery to hit that plateau, use that for rehearsal or performance, and then throw it away. And so they have to pre-treat every battery. And our battery is stable voltage from start to finish. And so no matter what state of charge they have in the battery, the performance is always going to be the same. And then we're doing some other never done before kind of things in the batteries that we're developing for them specifically to make them perform better from an acoustic perspective. So from an audio quality perspective, which I think is a real value add, of course, for musicians.
Seems like a lot of work to discharge your battery at the level to the level that you want. I mean, that's got to be a nuisance, right?
Yeah, they all have like tools, flashlights, or things like that that they can put them in. They'll run them for 20 minutes, get down, probably have a multimeter where they can check the voltage, say, okay, cool, I'm in the plateau, and then go do it, right? But you know, musicians should be obsessed about audio quality, but it does seem silly to kind of not provide them a product that can do that.
Yeah, super cool. Wow.
We're super excited about that one. Yeah, we've done a lot of small partnerships along the way, marketing and the like, but these really deeper kind of product partnerships get me super excited because if we can co-engineer products, or in this case, we're just engineering our product to be better, but if we co-engineer products with companies, we can make the performance of those products better, which is ultimately the goal, is make a better experience for consumers. And so by partnering up with brands who sell products that use a lot of batteries, we can have really deep relationships, but also tell bigger stories through larger marketing budgets than our own.
Yeah.
So great leverage.
Have you found, like, when people find something they like and then they discover they can find it on Amazon, then they just by default do that? Have you found that to be the case?
We definitely see that in our space. There's a certain consumer that will jump to Amazon to purchase just for the simplicity of it. I do it in my own life where I'll buy from the brands directly. I think I know enough about the unit economics for a brand operating their own sales and through Amazon. I'd always try to pitch them a bone, but it's there's certain consumers that will jump to Amazon and generally are lower AOV purchases, call it $46 AOV on Amazon. We'll jump to Amazon and buy there. It's also historically for us, it was also the fastest way to get your batteries. Prime allowed them to get their batteries faster. We've just moved to a new warehouse, which I think our average shipping time now is 2 days to customer across the US. So that will change things because our old warehouse was centrally located, but not able to get to consumers fast. And sometimes it took as much as a week or so. That's a huge improvement for us on our own site. And I think with that live on the site, people might not abandon the cart there and jump to Amazon as much because they can see, oh, I can get it in 2 days here.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. We've become addicted to, what do you mean I can't have it tomorrow morning, right?
Yep. Yeah, I could just deliver that once thing.
Yeah.
Amazing, but also crazy.
Yeah.
We could talk about international. I mentioned some of the legislative headwinds there.
Yeah.
Batteries are a global marketplace. Europe is ahead of the curve, I think, from a sustainability standpoint. They've recently required all consumer electronics to use USB-C, pushing everyone, including Apple, to go to USB-C. There's less cables, which would be the ultimate goal there. It's like everyone's got a drawer full of cables, and it seems ridiculous. USB-C has gotten so good mechanically, but also electrically, and then higher power USB-C stuff is incredible. So that's clearly where that's going. But they've also learned that, hey, we can make these changes at the legislative level, and these will come along, protect their ability to sell on market, of course. And so we partnered up with a group there this year, started a joint venture. They're focused on UK, Germany, Spain, and Austria right now. But the intention there would be to ultimately probably give them the entire continent and let them manage it there. And it's a much more tax efficient model because they can purchase at cost, import at a lower cost, reducing their tax burden, but also the capital from that operation and the income from that operation stays in the operation. We pay a small service their operation where they operate other brands, and so we're leveraging all of that. Eventually, they will hire and build their own offices, and then at some point it'll make sense for us to acquire that and bring it back as a full subsidiary. But for now, we're 51% of that JV and trying to get ahead of that shift in Europe, get as much distribution as possible and build the brand there. And that's yeah, it's a longer term strategy to take advantage of those legislative headwinds.
So one would think that if you're in bed with the people that launched Yeti, that Yeti's brand was just so well liked, high quality. I wouldn't call it luxury brand. It was sort of a enthusiast brand, right? Um, did they have great success with Yeti?
Yeah, I think it was 3 years to get to 30 million in sales.
Yeah,
And then I think Yeti bought him back after that.
yeah,
So yeah, I would call that quite successful.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I look at ourselves from a brand perspective, something similar to Yeti. Ultimately, the batteries in your life are there to help you do something, to play or to work or to function or to navigate or something, right? They're there to support something that should be interesting, fun, useful in your life. And a battery and a cooler are the same, right? It's the stories that Yeti goes and tells in market are inspiring for us. It's like they tell the story of an amazing person doing an amazing thing, and the cooler's there, and it's part of their ability to go do that, but it's not the focus. And so we're trying to create experiences for customers. We have our batteries are used in Jaguar research and bat research and some research in the Amazon now. A guy at NASA reached out, said, "Hey, I'm using your batteries to power an onboard computer and in a balloon that we send up to the stratosphere." And so our batteries are out there powering very cool and interesting experiences for people. One of our strategies is help tell more of those stories because I think that's much more human and humane than it's just a battery. It's a great battery, but it's a battery, right? It's like no. These batteries can help you. And I'll give you the earliest example. I think it was our first one that I knew of. Someone tagged us on Instagram. It's the first time someone tagged us with a story. And this guy's he's in the dark and he's taking a video and he's like, "I'm on the side of Mount Whitney. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to get to the sunrise. I'm trying to get to the summit for sunrise." And he says, "But my batteries died in my headlamp." We're like, "Oh no." He turns the camera and you see the batteries charging with a power bank. He's like stuck on the side of a cliff in the dark, right? And
Yeah.
he shows the batteries charging on his power bank. And then the video cuts and he's on the summit at sunrise. And
Nice.
it was just like, that's it. That's what we're trying to do, is enable amazing things. A very famous person who I'd like to see if I can get on our TV show has 160 of trail cameras on her ranch in Montana, and our batteries in all of them are in all of them. And it's like, she's obsessed with the cameras because the cameras show her pictures of mountain lions and wolves and porcupines and bears and all this stuff. But it's like that connection to that place, even though she's probably in the studio most days, it's like, just like I don't know, it grounds people to be able to have those experiences and be able to I think for me a big part of it is being able to spend time outdoors and with my family is key. It's like we're an outdoor product kind of artful brand, and if we can, like you and I out fishing, right, we can go enjoy those places, we'll have vested interest in protecting them for our kids.
Yeah, the more you talk about it, and I've got a taste of it when we first started talking about the batteries, but man, you could have such great stories around. The one you just told is amazing. I'm sitting on the side of the mountain, my headlamp goes out, and by the way, boom. I mean,
Yeah,
there could be
exactly.
real drama and inspiring stories having to do with batteries. Pale Blue saved my life, right? Right.
I'm looking forward to hearing that one. There's a very famous mountain biking competition in Utah called Rampage, and the guys at backcountry.com, if they do a lot of video and audio work there. So we know our batteries are used in the wireless mics that get used by the best mountain bikers in the world. It's this extreme competition. That's a cool story. So we go
Very cool.
tell that.
Yeah. It's like a Red Bull competition type stuff, right? Very, very
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's way more fun, I think, than even we ever anticipated, surprisingly.
Yeah. Super cool.
Take a moment on the DoD stuff.
Yeah, I think this is, from my perspective, even though we have issues with our government in lots of ways, they are super inefficient. There's lots of crap that's going on. Like if you get into a program like this, they've dug so deep that it's highly unlikely that they're making a mistake. And what I mean is they've dug so deep with you that they that it's they there's probably a bunch of opportunities that they could have had in this sort of technology. Not that there's so many companies doing what you're doing and so forth, but I think it gives people cause to be further interested, and that the due diligence has been done at a level that most don't even have the capable of doing on their own. So that's my 2 cents about
Yep.
optics of this, right?
Yeah, so we're part of a large, a much larger strategy to standardize batteries and make a better power system across the battlefield, let's say. And so the fact that it's part of a larger system says like this is not a project that's going to end. They need to get this to market, and we need to get this to market. But it was a very long vetting process. We actually partnered up with them after they reached out to help them develop the requirements for this, because it's really meshing like what you'd like to have and what's possible and where all the trade-offs meet in the real engineering stuff. And so we've been at it with those guys for 3.5 years now. In fact, they tried to go a different route at one moment in this, and they went to another company that makes a larger battery system and totally failed and came back to us. Doing what we do at a very small level in the electronics and all of the trade-offs in engineering these sorts of very tight constraint products is challenging and requires a certain amount of technical wherewithal, but also the ability to assemble an amazing team. And so yeah, happy to say we're in milestone 3, engineering validation 1, and enjoying the process despite it being rigorous, enjoying it because we're able to impress everywhere along the way and stay on. So it's $6 million of R&D that we couldn't afford on our own, which will create a lot of IP and opportunities. It's a dual use product that creates a lot of markets, not only selling to the DoD, of course, but also that they would like us to sell it commercially. Helps us stabilize the supply chain and create better flex if flex is needed to fulfill demand spikes. And so it creates a huge opportunity for us. It'll be a really amazing battery that will have applications, but it's also a tech platform. Once we develop the electronics on it and all of the other stuff, it's a tech platform that we can take from the first size to many sizes. So it's a huge opportunity for us in the near term, but I think also long term creates a very large business opportunity and huge differentiation, but also IP moats that we can take advantage of.
So you're at the second of 7 milestones in, what has it been, 4 months since the beginning of that?
Yeah, we got going in May, so it's actually we're in the middle of the 3rd milestone, and there's 17, so this will carry us through April of 26.
Yeah.
And so it's a milestone, approximately every 2 months along the way.
Yeah, very cool.
Thanks. Yeah, we do think so.
Yeah.
It's they did a bunch of vetting on some of the technology that we're using that we couldn't have afforded to even scrub. Spent years vetting certain things that they've been able to give to us. So that alone has aligned us with amazing technologies that were not on our radar, not even within our ability to vet. So it's just a huge accelerator for us from a learning technology and IP standpoint. And then
That's got to be worth a few $1 million to you by itself. Forget about the money coming in from them. Yeah.
they had I believe so.
Yeah.
Jeff, you can jump in anytime. Jeff always has his thoughts on this project because he gets to watch it vicariously as he attends some of the reporting meetings to the government.
Yeah, tell us, Jeff.
Oh, well, I think what was exciting is the second milestone we just completed, and it's been funded, is that was initial design concept. milestone. So they're very happy. It's a very, very impressive. Our subcontractors are very professional, very impressive. Meeting with the government has been very impressive. So a company of our size winning this contract as well as performing against it, they're impressed with us. But the whole environment is very sophisticated, which you wouldn't quite think for a battery. But it's moving along nicely, and I think it's just a great win for us.
Yeah. Super cool. Money's good.
Yeah, it's helpful for sure. Yeah, it would take us a long time or some serious fundraising to be able to put $6 million R&D at the stage.
And we can also talk what it does to us is the profit from it helps us get to our goal of cash neutral by the end of the year, early next year. So that's a real other benefit of this program.
Nice boost, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I might spend just a quick moment on sustainability. We would never have and never will market ourselves as like the greener solution. I think it's obvious and it comes along with it, but we have such a good rational value proposition from performance, reliability, convenience, and value that we focus on that. But we internally are motivated by doing well by our kids and by the future, and so we do support a number of nonprofits as members of 1% for the Planet. Kind of holds our own internal feet to the fire to get out there and support. And so I'll mention one here, Fish for Garbage, local river cleanup organization, and we've cleaned up rivers with them many years now. Jeff, our head of sales, is on the board of directors, and we get out there and clean up hundreds of thousands of pounds of garbage off the rivers in Utah. But we also support other organizations, sector winners, Wasatch Trails, a group here that manages the 1,200-acre wetland preserve. So we're out there, helping support internships that they have, or cleanups or ecosystem restoration projects. And it's kind of a pleasure for us. It's where we actually get the team together the most is at those events. And it also helps us tell stories and create partnerships in the space. When you're out there doing good, you can partner up with other brands that are doing good as well. So we do a lot of marketing partnerships based on our position in that space, but we've got other stories to tell when it comes to actually converting consumers, and that's the performance, reliability, convenience, value stuff. But I didn't want to leave that. I'll mention one thing: Call to Recycle. Hopefully you can see it on my screen there. Call to Recycle was formed by the government when batteries were a little bit more toxic. We're steward members there. For every battery we sell, we have to contribute a little bit to their general fund. They manage end of life recycling of batteries. All the rechargeable battery companies are required to contribute, and then they manage something like 14,000 pickup locations around the US and Canada where you can drop your batteries off. None of the single-use guys contribute to that fund, and if you walk into any of those pickups, all you'll see is a bucket full of single-use batteries. So it's a bee in my bonnet to try to see what can happen there, but it's also demonstrative of kind of how we take responsibility compared to what I think has been the historic benchmark for those companies. So we're trying to do things better, do good and do well.
Yeah, it's such a ubiquitous problem. Oh shit, which one of these batteries is good and bad in the junk drawer?
Mm-hmm.
And what do I do with them? And when am I gonna, like you said, they end up in some bucket somewhere, and then they probably don't end up going to where they need to go. So it's not surprising.
Yeah. Unless they're subsidized, they're not good to get recycled. There's because the recyclers have to pay out of pocket to recycle them. They can just burn them apparently. So
yeah,
it's not it can't be ideal. The numbers, it's about 1 million tons a year globally. It's like pretty wild. Jeff, maybe I'll let you jump in and talk through financials and fundraising.
Okay. We have grown approximately 100% a year every year, except as Tom mentioned, 22, 23 was a flat year, principally on some stalled financing efforts related to the timing of the Silicon Valley Bank debacle. At that time, we moved to the convertible note. We had raised $2 million prior to raising a new tranche. And so we set out to raise a third tranche of $1 million and sold that out, expanded that to a second $1 million, and we're just completing that now. And we're exploring expanding that a little further to another $500,000, possibly $1 million going forward. Our plan is to raise our first equity round, as Tom mentioned earlier, which would be at the earliest, the end of the year, probably first quarter, targeting $7.5 million of fresh proceeds. And then financially, through the first half of the year, we top line did $2.2 million on a goal of $7 million for the year. $1 million of that is the government award. So we do about 60% or better of our volume in the second half of the year, both from growth as well as seasonality around the Thanksgiving holiday time is a very strong battery buying season. And anything else you think helpful, Tom?
No, I think it's when we mention seasonality, I think it's always important to mention that we have the best kind of seasonality that people buy batteries well through January, buying batteries, the Christmas gifts and the like. So it's not this Black Friday to December 15th, very short window where we can try to get in the black or whatever. It's like, it's very good to us starting around now all the way through January. And so, yeah, it makes for an exciting back half and smoother Q1. So
Do you have to do are you on the ad spend bandwagon during that time?
we benefit from quite a large email list, and we can leverage giveaways and other marketing partnerships and things. But yeah, we will be spending into it with Meta and Google Ads.
Yeah. Jeff, without telling us who they are, because we don't need to know, but what's the profile of the investors thus far?
The investors are a mix of angel investors and family funds. We have a sophisticated constitutional investor, P Capital, that has also invested in us. And going forward, I think that's still the pool of what we would look to fund until we did the equity round.
Yeah, and I know it's hard to say what the end game is, but can you talk a little bit about the exit plan, liquidity event, all that kind of stuff, what you're thinking?
Tom, you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, we can we plan to continue to double this business every year or better. I think we can start to accelerate after the equity raise. I personally have seen some good friends take businesses through the IPO process and the aftermath. Not particularly interested in that process. I think as we put more tech on our batteries and create even up through including connectivity and the like, and we continue to dominate domestically and expand globally, it opens up a lot of acquisition partners, not just battery manufacturers, but tech companies and houses of brands, consumer products, brand acquisition type conglomerates and things. So I think there's an acquisition exit in the midterm, let's call it, but we've got good runway to continue to grow this and do for the next, call it, I don't know, 4 to 7 years.
Yeah, look, I'm not predicting anything, but if this defense thing, government thing takes off, there's lots of money floating around with those people as well. Yeah. So.
Yep,
it's definitely an additive, accretive channel that in the pro forma, we've only modeled out the first 1.8 million of the 6 million till we've only had the first budget year of that 1.8 approved. We expect the remaining to be approved in this upcoming budget year. But once we go into units, it's enormous. But the synergy back to commercial is, I think, the real opportunity, as well as Europe.
Totally
You know,
makes
I didn't fully understand that until I went to SHOT Show down in Las Vegas last year and talked to defense and weapons and night vision and those sorts of manufacturers. And every single one of those has to dedicate a large percentage of their engineering resources to the battery side. They have to engineer the electronics and the batteries to match, and they have to manage battery development, compliance testing, and the logistics requirements of all of that. And none of them want to do it. They're all excited about the potential of a pre-qualified amazing battery that they can leverage with a mil spec behind it that tells them how to engineer their products. And so it just became very clear to me in those conversations that all those manufacturers are excited about what we're doing. So I think that really changed my outlook from the dual use go-to-market perspective.
Yeah, it could be the plug-in utility for all those people who are building different stuff, and you guys are pre-approved and plug it. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, but that's what right.
Basically, it almost is that simple, actually. It's like doing all of that engineering and trying to keep with all the things that are changing in the battery space, and then dealing with all the compliance logistics. It's a mess. Nobody wants to do it. So to have someone that can do it and have developed and have that R&D pathway for even better is just easier for them to manage. They can focus on what they want to do, the products they want to develop, instead of peeling off deal with batteries all the time.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So to wrap things up, we've got a little bit left in this round. It could open up to a little bit more for the group here, and then the equity round after this is done. And that the fundraising's hard no matter what, but you guys managed to fill the buckets pretty quickly. So it's probably safe to say that if you want to jump in this convertible, probably a good idea to move. Otherwise, you wait till the equity round, right?
I think, Arthur, that's right. I think what we're really capped against is bringing in enough capital, but based on time constraints. I think we need to create distance and complete this convertible note, given that it would be at a lower val cap than the equity round. So in order to create some distance between the convertible note and an equity raise, we'll probably cap off this effort by the end of this month to the end of October at the latest, in order to create that window.
Yeah, that's good to know. All right, so we'll make sure that everybody who was on the call today and RSVP gets in touch and follow up with them. Then we'll send them a note and loop you in. And for those of the people that RSVP didn't make it today, we'll make sure they get the recording and so forth. And then we'll just do the follow-up.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Super fascinating.
Appreciate your time.
Really, really exciting stuff. I mean, who would think that batteries could be so exciting? Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah. All right, thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Jeff and Tom, and thank you all for spending the only thing you can't make more of, and that's your time. Till next time. Thanks. Talk to you soon, guys.